Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Volume 9 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. But before we dig into the contents of this manga volume, I'd like to just touch a little bit on the anime that has recently started airing.
Oh my gosh.
The absolutely, so far, very lovely anime adaptation of Frieren.
It's gorgeous.
Right?
They've really gone above and beyond. Not to say that the manga is bad or poor quality, absolutely not. But they've taken the transition to the animated realm and really just run with it.
Yeah.
Frieren is she's expressive without being, an expressive person. Does that make sense? Because she obviously, her emotions are toned down, but also she has these moments where she's very animated and her emotions are telegraphed in her face pretty well.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's so good. Like they convey the emotions so well through the animation, and I think the music helps as well a lot because I think the soundtrack so far has been really, really good and has really helped to elevate these feelings.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Lovely adaptation so far, and very excited to see. Supposedly it's going to be 28 episodes, so that's like a lot of episodes for like a first season. So I wonder how far they're gonna get into the story. Like, could they reach by the end of it as far as like sort of around where we are now? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not quite. Maybe they'd end it with the ending of the first class mage exams or something like that.
I could see that.
That could be fitting. Either way, yeah, it's a treat. But in the manga today, we have started the Golden Land arc, or whatever it's supposed to be called. But it is pretty exciting. Should we just dive into the characters?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. Starting with Macht, the last one of the 7 stages of destruction. And according to some, he's the strongest one. I guess that makes sense. If he is the last one standing, that he might be the strongest. And he is very strong.
Yeah.
We also learned that he used to be Denken's mentor back in the day.
That was juicy.
Yeah.
Did not expect that.
Not at all. And the fact that he, for about 20 years, he actually served the Gluck family, and, he was, without having this stone bracelet of servitude on him, he functioned within that area, coexisting with humans for 2 decades.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Macht is fascinating. I can't quite wrap my mind around him in this world. I mean, the idea of him not having the capability of understanding some human emotions, that makes sense. With what's been established, but this idea of a demon coexisting with humans to a certain extent is so foreign to me. I mean, yeah, we've had demons that have been trying to deceive, and Frieren has said that's basically all they do is deceive humans because that's just what they're meant to do, what they're made for, or made, maybe not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But with Macht, he's not really, doesn't seem to be completely out to kill the humans. By the very end of the volume, we have some sort of affection for humans. At least that's what he calls it.
Right.
So it's an interesting take on this unique, I guess, demon idea that the series has had since the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it definitely is different somehow, but I don't know. It's he apparently genuinely wishes for coexistence with humans, and as we know, it did work. It has worked for some time, at least in the past. But as Frieren pointed out, a lot of his actions also kind of go against those desires of his to coexist with humans, and with how he has Like he reeks of death and stuff like that she points out. And we also saw through his memories him doing some very typical demon stuff, burning down villages, killing tons of people. And even after this supposed affection for humans began for him, he was still creating conflicts for humans. With, like, for example, what we see at the very end of the volume, how he makes these two brothers fight for their lives, basically. Like,
yeah.
And that was, like, supposedly, like, the first thing he did after he found this appreciation or affection for them. But that was him literally creating conflict, which throughout this book he kind of claimed that he was against conflict and didn't like that kind of thing. So,
right.
I don't know. As I see it, I don't know if he's really all that different from other demons. At the end of the day, kind of. He's more pretentious than other demons.
Yeah,
maybe.
Definitely well, they're all pretentious, though, right?
True, I suppose so. But maybe this guy is like a new level of pretentious. I don't know.
I'm there with you in that for one, I don't fully trust him, and I feel like what makes him fascinating right now is I can't truly grasp what his thought process is, because I don't think it's as simple as, oh, I just want to be friends with humans. I really don't think that's it.
Right.
But what his idea of coexistence could be, it might be very different than what, the humans in Frieren would call coexistence.
True. I mean, yeah, definitely it's got to be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that you could argue that this affection that he has could be the affection, maybe this is going to sound a little dark, but the affection we humans have for an animal or some kind of being that we view lower than us.
Gotcha.
And I could see a demon like him seeing humans as cute little things that are not like him, or not as advanced as he is. That being all said, though, he did seem to be somewhat caught up on the fact that there was certain emotions that he couldn't comprehend.
Right.
And I wondered if that could be something that he desired from humans, and that's why he stuck with them for so long, just out of pure fascination. And maybe some sort of hope to understand for himself, but I guess maybe it could be, in that sense, it could be like a test subject type thing, like experimentation.
Right. I mean, yeah, right. I kind of got those vibes a little bit as well. Like at the very end there, when it was like he was testing to see how far humans were willing to go in order to survive, in a way, like kind of those sorts of experimentations in his memory there, for example. But yeah, he is interesting, even though, yeah, as I said, I don't know if he's really all that different from other demons. He is still definitely interesting, though. And, like, I wonder how different is he really? Because it's hard to tell, because obviously we know that demons are masterful liars, or, like, that's what they do. That's how they get around. So yeah. I'm hoping the next book will clear up some of this.
Yeah, I mean, I at the end of the day, I don't think he's gonna be, a friend.
No.
To humans.
No way.
That's definitely not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that I think that his thought process, while the end will be very demon-like, is just a little different than what we've seen before.
Right. And this gold that he creates, or rather, the things that he turns into gold, apparently don't give off any magic-like vibes. Like, to those who can sense mana, they don't sense, or they don't feel like this gold is magical or cursed or anything like that. So to them, it just seems like gold. However, it's also not quite gold, because it's indestructible and it can't be processed as gold, as normal gold can be. So it's like it's this very strange thing. Like, clearly it is magical to some extent because of the way that it is, but mages can't read it as magic. It's very weird.
Yeah. He's a strange one, very powerful, but strange. Like, how does one have that kind of a curse or spell, but I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But I guess to that point, obviously people want to get rid of that spell, right? That curse. But you can't get rid of it by just killing him.
Right.
He has to be the one that undoes the curse.
Yeah, seems like it. So it's a rough situation, to say the least, for poor Denken especially, who really just wants to restore his home. And because we saw, because I liked how not only was it mentioned or I guess speculated by Frieren and Denken that that's how it had to be, like they needed Macht to turn the area back to normal before they'd be able to kill him, I guess, because otherwise it would just be stuck as gold forever if they killed him without him having restored it. But I also liked how in the battle, or in Macht's battle with Lernen and Edel, we saw him transmute his cloak into a golden sword, and then also use and then transmute it back into a cape and make it into a golden cape to use as a shield, and then he transmuted it back into a sword again. So it was cool to see how to actually have seen Macht both turn things into gold and restore them back to normal. So we know for sure it is possible.
Oh, I didn't even pick that up, that he was turning things back into gold. I just thought it was magic in general, but oh, okay.
Oh, I assumed it was supposed to be gold because that's kind of his thing.
Yeah, I mean
I guess
that's fair.
I guess I could be wrong, but I think plus also as it was established, the things he turns into gold are indestructible, so it's obvious. It makes sense to use to make a sword out of that type of gold, or make a shield kind of, or like the cape shield as he did out of gold, because it's indestructible. It's like perfect. It's perfect for combat, really, in that kind of a way. But yeah, I guess interpreting that as I did, with that being him turning it into gold, into gold and back and into gold again and whatnot, then yeah, we have actually seen him do it. So hopefully by the end of this arc, we will see him turn the whole area back to normal.
Yeah, agreed.
And about the stone bracelet of servitude that was put on him by Lord Gluck, he was ordered to not commit malicious acts. And I think you touched earlier a bit on him not understanding certain concepts, kind of, that are pretty human concepts or human emotions or ideas. And this idea of being malicious is one of those things that he just doesn't comprehend or understand the meaning of, thus making that order on him just kind of doesn't have any effect at all. Yeah.
It seems to be malice and guilt are the two that he mentions. I mean, I assume there may be more, but malice and guilt are the two that he points out at the end of the volume.
Precisely. And another thing that apparently Lord Gluck wished for was enormous wealth. That wasn't anything that was mentioned when the bracelet was put on or anything, but he did serve Lord Gluck, and Lord Gluck wished for enormous wealth. And so at first glance, it kind of seemed like that may have been the reason for why Macht started turning everything into gold, but then I think, as it was Edel pointed out, how Macht's gold can't be processed, and thus it kind of won't really bring the kind of wealth that real gold would bring. So it still kind of remains a mystery as to why he's doing what he's doing.
I mean, I would never think it'd be a command he's following, right? I mean that would be not demon if he was following a command from a human.
Yeah,
kept doing it.
And and especially since it wasn't part of the bracelet thing, like supposedly, like that. Right. That's or I guess to serve was part of the bracelet thing. So
yeah, that's also part of it.
So if he was serving Lord Gluck,
is there someone behind the curtains who's telling him to change everything into gold. Like,
oh right, yeah, maybe there is like a secret villain here.
well, I was just joking.
But
I don't.
but still, I mean, I mean, I don't know. I'm open to ideas. um, is there anything else on Macht?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, sweet. Then let's move on to talk a bit about Denken, Macht's disciple, or what we want to say, or at least previous disciple.
Yeah. That, like we said, that was a pretty big surprise, and kind of gives him a history in a way.
Uh-huh.
Although it probably doesn't mean anything to Macht. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he remembers him, maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, right. Just briefly on that, interestingly, Macht's memory doesn't seem to be perfect, I guess, since he didn't remember Frieren.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it, unless he
Yeah.
was just being cheeky, but I doubt it.
Right.
They're
Huh.
probably all insects to him because he's just so grand and powerful or whatever.
True, right. Plus, his life may have been very, very long, so.
As long as Frieren's? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. We don't. How much do we know about the lifespan of demons in this world? Longer than humans, for sure, but how does it compare to elves? I'm not sure.
It's a good question.
Hmm.
I feel like Cydia was mentioned in this volume, and the plan was to keep Macht trapped there until his mortality would just win away.
Right. Yeah. At least Frieren did mention something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not for sure the plan, but that's what she assumed is the plan.
Hmm.
So I wonder if that is a contingency plan or one that Cydia plans to be alive for still. I don't know.
Right.
But either way,
Hmm.
yeah, he seems to have some sort of trouble remembering the smaller folks.
Yes.
But I don't know if this is going to lead to anything more with Denken and Macht. I mean, Macht is bound to obey Denken just because of him being a citizen of the city. But I don't know how far that goes. I mean, it seems that Denken has tried. He kind of pushed his luck in various ways to try to get Macht to do some things, and there's only he still has enough willpower to be like,
Precisely, yeah. I wonder if he would have straight up tried to order him to just return everything to normal. I could see that.
Yeah.
But that it wouldn't have had any effect, sadly.
Right. Honestly, if it's a command that he won't follow, he probably just is silent, something like that, you know.
Uh-huh. But yeah, Denken has become this new keeper of the barrier that seals Macht in the Golden Land. And as we knew since several volumes back into the story now, Denken's goal used to be to return to his home village or hometown and visit his wife's grave. And we learn in this volume that he has done that. So that goal, I guess, has been achieved for him. But now, of course, he has a new goal, being to restore the town to normal. And I guess the whole area, by extension.
Yeah.
Just, breaking the curse completely.
Well, so originally he had planned to just die in his hometown. Like that's what he was going to do there. But then he realized, oh my gosh, my memories are still here. And my wife is so beautiful in my mind. I cannot let this place stay as gold. I need to revert it back.
Mm.
And yeah, I love that about Denken. He has a great sense of justice, and I mean, obviously there's selfishness here, but I think that his love for his wife extends beyond the grave, and I adore it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it was also nice, like, he was kind of hard on himself kind of early on in this volume, talking about how his feelings for his wife and how he wasn't a very good husband and whatnot, and how he was kind of cold or whatever. But then we heard from Lernan a little bit later in the book how he explained their friendship, because as we learn, they were friends back in the day, and I mean they still are, but like they've been friends for a long time, and how when they were young, Denken would like all the time he would talk about his wife and like
he wouldn't shut up about it,
like stuff like that. So like I think he was a better husband, and he loved her more than he maybe gives himself credit for these days. And then maybe he started growing colder or whatever after her death, to some extent, little by little, maybe.
Maybe. I think a lot of the guilt for him comes from the fact that he just never mustered up the courage to go back to his homeland, because he had ignored it for so long,
Yeah.
Just used excuses. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm busy. But now he finally has that courage, and even characters in the volume know it seems a little late for this, but you living in the now, and yeah. Anyway, I appreciate the lesson there about not putting things off, but
Yeah.
even if you do, just get it done. Like live in the now.
Exactly, because the now is all that we have, kind of, and how yeah, really that whole scene with I believe it was Lernan and Edel who had that discussion.
Uh-huh.
It was really beautiful, I thought, and how it's and as I believe is also pretty realistic and real, like for a lot of people in the real world too, is like to realize these things at an older age in life is probably rather common, sadly.
Right.
And how we, as younger people, should also try to remember these things. Like, life is not eternal, and we gotta make the best out of it in the moment, like with the time that we have.
Agreed.
It's almost kind of inspiring, I think.
Yes. I guess my final things, my final thing about Denken, it was just cute seeing the memories of his wife.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was really really nice. I know it's just a minor thing, but I don't know. I like little things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was really nice. Next, let's move on to Frieren. And for the first, I believe, 3 chapters of this volume, like basically the chapters that were before we got into the main chunk of the story, kind of the whole Gold City part. I believe there were 3 chapters that came before then that didn't, at least to me, didn't add, like, it didn't give a whole lot of substance necessarily.
Yeah.
But the one part at the end of the Holy Snow Crystal chapter, where Frieren just saw this veil or whatever, like the Holy Snow Crystal thing, and just how beautiful it was, and how happy she was that people would be able to see it, but she was also sad that it would get mined and all
right.
vanish from there pretty soon. At least that's what she thought in the moment. And I thought it was so sweet how it turned out that the guy who'd hired them actually wanted to preserve it. And yeah, it was just a sweet little moment, I thought.
Yeah, well, I think all 3 of those chapters were sweet little moments for Frieren. I mean, it kind of goes back to the basis of this journey, is retracing her steps with the hero's party.
Yeah.
And seeing all the little things that Himmel and the other guys left for her.
For sure.
All these years ago. And I mean, you got the journal, you got the bridge, and now you have the crystals. At least that memory, and yeah, so it was touching. I mean, it's nothing new necessarily, but it's still like the good feel stuff.
Absolutely.
Like.
Yeah, I mean, it's the slice of life part of the story, which of course is super charming too. It's like it's one of the reasons why Frieren Beyond Journey's End is such a nice manga, kind of.
It's also great world building. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We get so much details about the world's like topography and economy and things like that.
True.
So very nice.
That's a good point. Yeah, and on the whole kind of slice of life thing, I guess I liked how Himmel's journal really was that slice of life. It just depicted just normal everyday stuff, just kind of like a lot of the chapters of this manga series does for Frieren's journey after the main journey. But her role in the Golden City story here, we learn that that one of the 11 people or beings that she has lost to in the past is Macht. So it makes sense that she's reluctant to have a fight with him.
Not even sure if she can beat him now.
Exactly. There's
actually she's probably pretty confident. Actually, at the end of this volume, she's pretty much, yep. I don't think I could.
Exactly. But she still offers to help, which I think, was really awesome. And it seems like she, at least by the end of it, after they had visited Macht and then returned back outside, it seems like she has some kind of plan, but she's not convinced that it'll work. So I'm really curious to see what that's going to be. And hopefully, after having looked through these memories together with Denken, they'll be able to come up with a plan that they'll feel more confident about as to how to make Macht turn everything back to normal and then kill him, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, I think the key is going to be going through his memories, really. I mean, Frieren probably has an idea of something, but I think once they go through the memories, they'll have a more solid idea of what to do, which, I mean, at this point, I who knows? I really don't know. I mean, if we're dealing with a human, I'd be like, okay, well, what are the usually the weaknesses? Some sort of love, greed, those kind of things. But what would a demon's weakness be? I have no idea, other than his own pride.
Exactly. I mean, for sure, pride would or could make sense.
And that's what they're known for, being prideful.
For sure.
That's what Flamme was all about.
Yeah, and how it's because of their pride that they can't, like, that, or that they won't, for example, like, restrict their mana, like, to make it look smaller and stuff like that.
Right. But you know what's interesting about that is that Fern and Frieren don't really sense Macht's mana.
At least from that far distance.
Well, that far, okay, that's fair, but I think even a demon that powerful, you'd be able to, I think even Fern mentions that or someone mentions that you'd be able to feel that, right? So it's interesting how you can't feel that presence or that mana. Well, normally I feel like a demon would be just blasting it at full power.
Yeah, I did think about that too in that moment when he talked about it, and I think I kind of justified it as what they were talking about was the gold, and like the mana that would be emitting from the supposed magical gold, and that's what they were upset about, or kind of what was upsetting, that they couldn't sense that, and not specifically that they couldn't sense Macht's mana. I guess I'm not convinced that that's the case, but I'm trying to review it that way because it would be very strange if they couldn't sense his at all, or at the very least when they're closer.
I think it would make him pretty unique.
It would, but I don't want to. I don't. I'm reluctant to see him as unique as the story is trying to depict him as right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To me, he's just another demon, you know?
I get why. For sure, I think that there's more to it, and we'll get the reveal in the next volume. But at the same time, I do feel like there is something a little bit different about him. Not to make him like anything, you know, like an ally to humankind. I mean, surprise me, but I don't think that's the case. But I don't know, I do think there's something a little different about supposedly the most powerful demon mage there is. But, you know, so just to clarify more my point, Stark mentions that, oh man, there should be an insane amount of mana emitting out of him, and Fern can't sense it in the slightest, and says that I should still be able to sense his mana from this distance.
Did she say his mana?
Yep.
Okay.
At least in my book.
Gotcha. Yeah, then that is strange. Because yeah, if she used the word he, then yeah, it is about him and not the gold. Or I mean, maybe it's both, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
That is curious.
Indeed. I mean, I think it really comes down to why is he doing this all of a sudden? And all of a sudden being for 50 years or however many years it's been.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But anyway, I guess we were talking about Frieren.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, this is I maybe argue this is probably the most powerful mage she's been up against. I'm not sure what the Demon Lord is classified as exactly. I mean, they did defeat the Demon Lord, the hero team. So
exactly.
I don't know how the Demon Lord stacks up to Macht, but at the very least, this is one mage that even Frieren is not okay going against. I like in her conversations with Denken, she's reminded of her another conversation with Himmel about how using the flower spell reminded her of Flamme.
Yeah.
And that it was okay to have those happy memories. And that's such a great message in that having it's not bad to have these happy memories because they may make us feel sad or lonely, but they did happen, and it's fine to look back on that and remember when we were happy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's even, you go a step further, maybe this is my own further interpretation, is that there will be moments where you are sad, but we can look back at the times that we were happy, and maybe that can get us back to maybe where we want to be or hold us through until the next time we're happy.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got on Frieren.
Me too. I believe you have something on Edel and Lernen. So whichever order you wanna talk about those two.
Yeah, well, I'll talk with Lernen. You mentioned that he was close friends with Denken, and that they knew each other. They were Imperial mages together. And honestly, I just liked his whole plan to infiltrate the city and confront Macht and try to get whatever information they could. That move, using Edel to get his memories so smooth. It's like, oh, man.
He is very smooth.
Yeah. I mean, you really wouldn't expect it from a guy who, I mean, he looks pretty old. I mean, obviously Denken looks old too, but he's looking kind of ancient himself.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon they're about the same age.
Right. But he's as powerful as they come in terms of the human mages, so it's yeah, it's cool to see.
Really.
That's really all I have on him. Then Edel, I actually was really happy to see her back in the story.
Yeah.
I was quite fond of her when she had her little scene in the was that the maze section of the test.
Oh yeah.
I quite thought her contribution was charming and interesting. So I'm glad she's here. The hypnosis spells was really interesting to see and understand how they work, because they work on humans or similar creatures, but not demons. That was, I don't know. I mean, just the fact that because it's so based on the mentality of the creatures, further emphasizes the fact that humans and demons are different. Can't really see eye to eye,
right?
In terms of their mental state. So it does put into question: can coexistence really happen? At least in the term that we understand it. Again, maybe Macht's idea of coexistence is completely different, but remains to be seen.
For sure. But yeah, I really liked how this volume really leaned in on well, yeah, her ability to do all these like hypnosis kind of things, or like
read and the memory reading
and memory, yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And it was impressive how, even though it had been established pretty much from the get-go of this volume, or at least of her part in this volume, that doing those sorts of things to a demon's brain or whatever is basically impossible, she was still able to gather 100 years worth of memories from him, which really just kind of, it really establishes it as an incredible feat by her.
Yeah. You mentioned this earlier, but I want to bring it up again. She believes there's a greater reason why. What's the guy's name? The Lord Gluck, why he manipulated Macht, or at least allowed him to be in his service, and it's basically established it can't have been for the gold, for the wealth at the very least.
Right.
A thought did come through my mind upon first reading. Did he somehow did he desire Mach to petrify the area in gold, so that it just remains as pristine or whatever? But that kind of goes back to the whole the villain behind the curtain type, or the true villain type thing,
right?
But I don't think he'd be doing it for another human, though. Or, well, if it were a human, it would only be him, I think. Probably.
Right. Man,
I guess it could be another citizen, but
I wonder now, though, if Lord Gluck, if there's more to that character than we know right now. Yeah. Like, maybe not necessarily what you just suggested, but like something else. Like, maybe, what if he, for example, intentionally made the order as vague as it was, or whatever, for some reason, like, that we don't know yet. But I don't know. It could be interesting.
No, I agree. I think there has to be more to it, because you can't just tease this true intentions thing without going into depth. And I think when we go into Mach's century-long memories, we'll get that answer. I think,
that would be awesome. Then, last character, I guess, and it's not much on him, but the dwarf Gian, who spent 200 years building a bridge in order to save the villagers in case the village would be attacked by demons again in the future. A nice deed, kind of learning from previous quote-unquote mistakes. No, it wasn't like an active mistake like back when it happened the first time, but at least learning from the past.
Well, changing the future, in some way.
Precisely, yeah. And his name, Gian, means go or walk in German. I guess walking over a bridge or something.
Maybe.
And then I don't really know, but that is what his name means anyway. But anything else on him or anyone else?
No, I think that's it for me.
Awesome. In that case, before we move into predictions, I'm going to go over some names of locations and minor characters and, explain the German meanings behind them.
Yes.
We had Lake Corridor in the first chapter, or Corridor. I don't know exactly how it would be pronounced in German, but either way, it means corridor. It's the same. And my guess as to why is because that lake had mountain ranges on each side of it, kind of turning it into like a corridor or a passageway, kind of.
Interesting.
Then there was the Great Tor Canyon, or Tor. With Tor, I believe, means gate or gateway. Though I wasn't totally sure of like the significance there.
Well, a gate can kind of keep people away, maybe.
I suppose.
And the canyon gate, I don't know.
I mean, maybe. Then there was the Schmal snowfield. Schmal means narrow, thin, or slim in German. And that one actually I felt even more strange than the previous one, probably, in terms of like finding it.
Maybe it's a thin sheet of snow. Maybe,
or maybe if you look at the map, maybe it is a thin geographic area or something.
Oh yeah, maybe because it probably looks really wide from this perspective, but when you actually look at it as a whole, I could see it actually being a smaller, thinner section.
Could be, especially since we know that the great wait, what is it called? The Great Plateau? This area?
Oh, the Northern Plateau?
Northern Plateau, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about Zelda, I think. Anyway, yeah, the Northern Plateau, thank you, is a really large geographic area, so a place that looks big there might still be like a pretty small portion of the Northern Plateau. But then they came to the Weisse region with the fortress city of Weisse. Weisse means wise in German. And that was the region, obviously, that, well, a big part of it was turned into gold. There, my best guess as to why it would be called, or why it would be named after the word for wise, is that Denken was there and Lernen was there, both of whom have names that kind of allude to being wise, with Denken's name meaning to think and Lernen's name meaning to learn. And both of those kind of having to do with wisdom, I guess, maybe to some extent. But I'm not really sure. And there was Lord Gluck, Denken's father-in-law. That Glück means luck, happiness, or I think sometimes it can even mean fortune. And if so, then it makes sense with the whole golden thing. Except maybe it didn't bring fortune, but, you know. Still. We heard about the first class mage Tao very briefly. Tao, I think, means dew, like D-E-W.
Yeah.
And lastly, the second class mage Früh. Früh meaning early.
Ha! That's funny. Do you get it?
No, I don't know if I get it.
So she met up with them early because I think Lerner was like, this is not the meeting point we agreed on.
True. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Früh.
That was an unfortunate end for her, but yeah.
Yeah.
The German word for breakfast is Frühstück, alluding to the fact that it's an early meal in the day. But anyway. That was all of the German words in this volume, at least the new ones that hadn't been brought up in any of the previous volumes. Then, what do we got for predictions?
Not as much as I would have hoped for, because I understand where the story is going, but I don't know. It's hard for me to predict what the twist or the turn will be exactly.
Right. I feel similarly.
I feel like we'll go into the memory, we'll see some aspect with him and, oh gosh, Lord Gluck?
Gluck, yeah.
And something will click, and then they'll go from there. That's one, I guess, maybe safe prediction that I have.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm with you on that. And like in terms of how long this is gonna last, like, I guess chapter wise or whatever, I feel pretty confident that it'll, like, this arc itself is gonna last at least throughout half of the next volume, like, at least, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably more than that though. But it feels like there's still plenty left to get through here. Yeah.
I wonder if Denken's wife is gonna play a role in this at all. Because we are going into memories. So there is a chance for her to appear there, potentially. And this is his father-in-law. Lord Gluck is his father-in-law, correct?
Exactly.
So there could be a chance that is at play as well.
Interesting.
I don't know to what extent, other than a cameo. It would be very interesting if for some reason why? Okay. So Edel mentions that, it's either Edel or Lernen mentioned that only the person who cast the bracelet spell can be the one who changes it at all.
Right, yeah, or adds new commands or stuff like that, yeah.
Adds new commands. What if at some point Gluck added another one and maybe had something to do with his daughter who was dying? Now granted, she was already buried, right? He's already been to the grave. Or no, he had never. Denken had never been to the grave, had he? Before.
I don't think so.
So, I'm just like curious. How did she die? Was she petrified in gold? I don't know. I'm just throwing crap out there, but I mean, I feel like it would be very interesting if you had some sort of addition to the bracelet command from help me.
Glück.
I keep wanting to say glug.
Oh.
Gluck. Some sort of new command from him. Especially since they mentioned that no one can change it except for the original caster. So I don't know. That's just an idea I had, and I could see it being something to do with his daughter, and not just being, oh, I want more gold, even though I can't really do anything with this gold. You know?
Right. Yeah. Precisely. Man. Yeah. I think as far as I think the previous volume probably had me more hyped for this one. By the end of it.
Yeah.
Because they definitely teased this one in a very fun way, and it definitely had, I think, both of us very excited for the next volume. This one doesn't have me the same level of hype necessarily, but it has me really intrigued, and just really curious,
right,
about what really is behind all of this, and how much don't we know, and what don't we know. So I can definitely wait for the next one. I'm not super eager, but I'm extremely curious still.
Well, I won't say that I can wait. I'm not gonna say that. I definitely want to know now. But I'm with you in that I'm not hype, because I don't think it was necessarily the feeling that we got. I think at the end of the previous volume, it was very hype inducing in how it was set up.
Yeah.
This one, I think part of it's because it's not really action focused at all. There's really not much of a chance that there's going to be a battle. You know what I mean? I guess there could be some sort of conflict when they try to take him down, maybe, but it just feels that no one wants to fight the other. Well, I can't speak for Macht, but Frieren and Denken just don't want to even try it, you know?
Precisely. Yeah, it's much more of a mind game, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah.
But I guess that can be hype too. I don't know. I don't know. It's still, I'm still excited.
Oh yeah.
Just not, super hype.
Fair, yeah, for sure. And I feel like this volume especially has been, at least it seemed to me like there were little flags a few times at the very least that seemed to point toward the fact that Denken, this might be the end for Denken eventually, at the end of this arc maybe. Though I'm choosing not to think that he will die, because I think it almost feels too predictable that he will die. It's like the story wants us to think that this will be Denken's last stand, but that they eventually maybe then won't actually kill him off. So I'm predicting that Denken will survive this.
Thinking back, I think I said that Denken could get severely injured, and then
Sign would swoop in.
Yeah.
Right.
Sign would swoop in.
Yeah.
As much as I love that theory prediction, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Right.
I think that everyone's gonna avoid this. I mean, there's really no one in the area, so there's no reason why Sign would suddenly appear out of nowhere.
Right.
And not to say that I don't think Denken could die, but at the same time, I think it would be maybe a shame if he did.
Yeah, it would be. I agree. And speaking of Sign, I think by the previous, or when we talked about the previous volume and we were trying to predict things, I think we brought up the possibility. Well, yeah, I think we both brought up the possibility of Sign perhaps appearing during this arc here. But yeah, at this point, it doesn't seem all that likely. However, I still don't think we'll have to wait too long before he comes back into the story. So I'm going to predict that he will appear shortly after this whole arc is over.
Yeah, I can go with that. I want that.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, I don't have anything else for predictions.
I'm all dried up.
Lovely.
No, it's not. It's a serious condition.
Yeah, you should have some water. Yeah, don't let your pee go all dark and
oh my word,
colorful. I'm so sorry. Yeah, if your pee is dark and like very clearly, very strongly yellow, have some water. Well, we can't end the episode like that.
No, that is what a way to end a Frieren discussion.
No, I can't allow this.
To all Frieren fans, forgive us.
Please forgive me. We have expressed our excitement, however, for the next volume, so there's that. And I guess there isn't much reason to drag this out much more. So, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 10. Bye bye!
See you later!
Yahoo! Thank you so much for playing my game.